really quickly to introduce myself, I'm Daniel, co-founder of Automate 101, the company that owns and runs Atria. And I also have on the call with me Andrew, who's our marketing manager. So the topic for today's webinar is managing Citrix Cloud with Atria. But before I get into that, I just wanted to share a little bit about us. So Atria used to be a product called Cloud Portal Services Manager from Citrix. I was part of the original acquisition that got acquired by Citrix, and then several of the leadership team from that acquisition brought Cloud Portal Services Manager back from Citrix in 2019 and have rebranded it into Atria. So we've got 15 years of experience working with and in managed service providers, and Atria has a strong 15-year history working within managed service providers. And a couple of interesting numbers. Atria itself has well over 500,000 users under management. And because we're focused on Citrix Cloud today, we've got an interesting stat is we've got approximately 100,000 desktops under management. We're a Citrix Ready partner. We're on the Citrix Ready site, and we're a Silver Microsoft partner. We don't actually sell any licenses ourselves, so it's a little bit harder to become a gold partner these days. That's okay. We've got a range of customers ranging from telcos like TELUS and C-Spire to industry vertical focused managed service providers and hosters like Citrom, through to classic managed service providers who do a great job supporting their local businesses like GreenCube, Swissnet, and Wycor. So we run the gambit there. If you're focused on an industry, accounting, legal, medical, we've got other customers like that. If you're a managed service provider dealing with your local region, hosting whatever your customers need, we can support you there as well. So specifically around Citrix Cloud. Citrix Cloud is an awesome set of technology. It's taken a lot of administrative load away from service providers, put that onto Citrix, but it does have some challenges. And the first one being Citrix Cloud, especially if you're using Windows 10 multi-session entitlements, Microsoft 365 license management alongside Citrix Cloud can be pretty challenging. It can be difficult to make sure users have the right sort of license so that they're entitled to use the right sort of desktop. User administration is complex. You often have 2, maybe 3 places where they're managed: AD, Azure AD, and within Citrix Studio. Machine management is still can still be complex, especially for your service desk if they add and remove users and you want to add and remove machines at the same time, especially if you're using a cloud environment like Azure, because you're paying for that machine even if nobody's using it. And then again, lots and lots of portals. Lots of portals. It can be overwhelming, especially when you bring a new tech on board. And it also means you can't get your customers to self-serve. So what does that actually mean? Hopefully this sort of scenario looks pretty familiar. A customer wants a new user. So you've got to go to your PSA CRM tool. Does this need approval? If it does need approval, you need to log a ticket and wait, which can delay the user being created. And we've all had the scenario of a user, the day they start, hey, can you create this user for me? It's a nightmare. Then you've got a license purchasing process. You need to, for Microsoft 365, you need to log into Active Directory, create the user, potentially assign the Microsoft 365 license. You need to log into Citrix Cloud Management, potentially increase the machine catalog allowance, assign the user to the desktop, and then hopefully, or take notes in ticketing and update the billing PSA. It can be pretty painful, and there can be some real costs here if you do it wrong. With Microsoft changes to their licensing, NCE can require a 12-month license commitment. Having to create users in 2, maybe 3 places means there's risk. Having shared logins to all of these environments means auditing is pretty challenging. And sometimes these steps require escalation, meaning again further slowdowns and having your level 2, level 3 guys having to do admin work, which nobody likes. This takes time. It's a 30 to 90-minute process, and that's assuming everything goes smoothly. If it doesn't go smoothly, yes, it might still only take 30 or 90 minutes to actually be done, but could be 2, 3, 4, 5 days before this is actually complete. So what does this scenario look like if you were to do it within Atria? So within Atria, we have a global search across all of your customers and all of your users. You create the user in one place and they're created in Active Directory and Azure AD. Again, within Atria, you can purchase and assign Microsoft 365 licenses. If approval is required, if it's required, workflow kicks off and it can be approved internally or it can be sent to the customer for approval, again, with a single click. You assign the user a desktop type within a very simple user interface, which I'll be showing you later on. And the desktop is either automatically provisioned, pulled from a pool, or if it's a shared desktop using XenApp, then they're assigned to the right server. The pool can be automatically incremented so that next time you go to provision a desktop, there's one available as well. And we have automatic audit reports and automatic billing reports. And billing is already integrated with the most common PSA tools, ConnectWise, Casea, and Autotask. This takes what was a very complex process and turns it into 1 to 2 minutes. Again, that's assuming you've got your I's dotted and your T's crossed. But it also means this doesn't need to be done by a level 2 or 3 technician who needs to increase machine catalogs and know about both Azure AD and Microsoft 365 license purchasing. This can be done by pretty much anyone. And just to prove it, this is one of our case studies. This is a company called Sangoma. So they reduced their customer onboarding time from 45 minutes of a senior engineer down to 9 minutes of a help desk technician. Now that's a customer that that's onboarding a customer that already had a Microsoft 365 tenant and they were just importing them into Atria and standing up a Citrix cloud environment for that customer. They managed to speed up common tasks by 80%. User creates, giving access to new applications, password resets, that sort of thing. And they've increased their first call resolution by 25%. And no admin accounts. No need for level 1s to have access to Partner Center, to have access to AD, and they're able to purchase licenses rather than having to escalate. So it makes a real and material impact to your business. So some core concepts about how the Atria platform works. Your help desk, your engineers, and your customer administrators, because Atria supports self-service, have one portal. That one portal connects to every single one of your customers, whether Azure AD only, whether AD, and Citrix Cloud. That means there's one user interface that your help desk uses, and one place for them to train customer administrators. And tasks are a bit different. Your help desk within Atria will do user standard, user move dates changes, password resets, and assign and remove services. And also, your customer administrators can also do the same thing in a safe and managed environment. They can create their own users, and they can make minor changes. They can reset passwords, and if you give them access, they can assign and remove Microsoft 365 licenses, desktops, and applications. What this means is you can actually outsource some of your help desk work back to the customer so that they become faster. Give it to HR to do. So when they're signing a hiring contract, they also go and create the user. Your engineers then, your level 2, level 3 guys, are less focused on admin, increasing the machine catalogs and managing the Citrix environment, and they're actually building value-add services for you. So you can get them to build more automation and plug it in the back of Atria. They can integrate additional systems, and you can focus them on profitable things like onboarding customers nice and quickly, getting them set up, and potentially project work for those customers as well. So, what does it look like? Atria has a relatively simple user interface. So here's user create, simple, wizard driven, and it means non-technical teams like HR or office administrators can create users and assign services. It also means that for your service desk, if you're struggling to hire level 1 technicians, because everybody's struggling in that space at the moment, you can hire customer service people and get them to do standard sort of admin tasks, user creates, password resets, service management. It's a lot easier to hire customer service people than it is to hire level 1 technical teams at the moment. And it can be more cost effective as well. So assigning services, again, I'll show you an example of this in a little bit. But this is the Workspace Service, and this is how you would assign a desktop in Citrix Cloud. But things are designed so that they're simple enough and easy enough to understand that it's checking a few boxes, choosing the desktop type they want, give it away. And you can configure what each customer has access to. So it's not generic across all of your customers. Behind the scenes, this can be specific for each customer with their own unique requirements. Customers can self-serve, including purchasing things like Microsoft Office 365 licensing. Provisioning can be done automatically, or it can require workflow approval to your team or to the customers, to somebody within the actual customer themselves, if, for example, there's a financial impact, like purchasing a Microsoft 365 license. This means that, again, you can outsource some of that help desk work back to your customers and have them thank you for it, because a new user signs up and a new employee starts, they're able to create them themselves when that employee starts on the day, rather than having to wait for your help desk to do it. And workflow approval is one-click approvals, really simple, fast, and bulk approvals are available as well, meaning that while workflow tends to slow things down, it can actually be a really slick, easy process. So now pulling back a little bit and talking about Citrix Cloud in specific. So Atria has a workspace service for Citrix Cloud. You create, we've got plans set up, and behind the plans are a set of scripts which will help you do things like define the machine. Is it a performance machine, a low-end machine, a shared machine? You can add your own custom variables if they're required, and you can also extend that by executing custom PowerShell scripts. So it's very, very configurable. And common scenarios are where are the machines available? When are the machines available? What performance levels they have? Do they have a GPU? Are they pooled or dedicated machines? And are they shared? We also have applications and resources. Applications and resources are Active Directory or Azure AD groups, and they're used for access management. Especially if you have mid to large size companies, they're going to have a range of applications that they share with their that their employees need access to, but they're going to want to have a level of granular control. You don't want your sales guys might not need access to the finance system, and your warehouse logistics guys might not need access to the CRM system. And your marketing team needs access to Adobe Illustrator, but nobody else does. And then on top of that, we have application groups, which are bundles of applications and resources, which mean that you can create examples. Like, for example, a job role. Here's finance, and that's a bundle of all the applications that they would normally get. So this is simple and easy enough that you can get HR within the customer to provision this to users as and when they hire them. During the onboarding process, you onboard their applications, publish them in here. During the onboarding process, you create those standard job roles that they're likely to provision, and away you go. We also have the most We already spoke about this. The most common plan types again, is it a shared desktop or a VDI? Is it pooled or dedicated? Hours of operation, specifications of the machine as well, if you're offering variables there, RAM, CPU, and disk, though you can obviously have that standardized. And does the machine have access to a GPU? And then adding on Microsoft 365 licensing. Atria allows you within the same portal to add subscriptions, to add new licenses, and then assign licenses to the user. We also allow you to expire and auto renew subscriptions, and you can choose whether those subscriptions are monthly, whether they're annual subscriptions, so that you can work with your customers as they need. What the actual end customer sees, though, is a much simpler user interface. And you can see here, I've got a couple of licenses, Business Premium and Microsoft 365 E5, which come with Windows 10 multi-session entitlements, or AVD entitlements, versus Office 365 E1 and E3, which don't. So this means you're able to very easily and very quickly in here choose which license the user needs, assign them to a user, and assign them the correct type of desktop. And you're able to ensure that the right users have the right sort of entitlements. You'll notice that at no point have I needed to leave Atria and go to Partner Center. No point have I needed to leave Atria and go to Citrix Studio. This is no point have I needed to go to Active Directory or Azure Active Directory. This again, once you've got the customer set up, is a really slick and easy process to create and manage your users. So a really good example that's moved, I think, 2,100 users now to Citrix Cloud is the Asbury Group. They've recently rebranded to ThriveWell Technologies. I do need to update my slide, my apologies. They manage, they're focused on senior living facilities. And they were managing 200 to 300 moves, adds, or deletes a month. And this was costing them about 30 hours of engineering time every month. They had about 7 different tools or application-specific portals for managing users. Many of them so they had lots of processes and lots of flowcharts, but everything was manual. So they have standardized, and they have standardized within Atria. So the results of them bringing on their customers into Atria, 2,100 users, I believe they're approaching the 5,000 user mark now. They managed to reduce 30 hours of administration work a month down to about 3. They've managed to do that by partnering with HR. So HR now uses their HR departments in their customers use Atria to onboard users. And a very interesting learning was they partnered with payroll for offboarding, because I'll tell you what, the one place where they don't forget to offboard users is payroll. So by partnering with them for offboarding, a lot of those user changes were able to be pushed out to HR and payroll, and the customer had a better experience at the same time. And they moved their level 1 help desk from doing the job to enabling and mentoring the HR departments. In 1 month, they were able to achieve an ROI on Atria, and within 3 months following, they have achieved an ROI of close to 300%. So let's unpack that those ROI statements a little bit. So the situation, okay, if you, for example, you're getting 18 user onboards a week, and you're getting, on average, it takes you 40 minutes to onboard, which is the lower end of the scenario I gave you earlier. And you'd had, which that would mean that you'd have a level 1 guy, and maybe with an escalation to a level 2 or level 3, you do 12 hours of onboarding a week, which is 48 hours of user onboarding a month. And assuming, again, similarly, you get 50 password resets a week, which maybe, maybe not. And it takes you on average 12 minutes a password reset. So that is finding the credentials to the customer's Active Directory, logging in, resetting the password for them. So 12 minutes could actually be on the low end there. That is 10 hours of password resets a week, or 40 hours a month spent on password resets. So the cost of a technician at $35 an hour, okay, with deploying Atria, okay, we can reduce user onboarding time to 5 minutes a user. And we spoke through the process of how that works. You can save up to 10.5 hours a week or 42 hours a month. You can reduce password reset time to 5 minutes, which is less than half what it would otherwise take. And again, that's on the low end there. And we also have end user self-password reset functionality as well. You will save 16.5 hours a month on password resets alone. So what does that work out at? Just on user onboarding, by having an automation tool like Atria in place, you can save 58 hours a month in tech cost. So that's at $35 an hour, that's $2,050 in cost savings a month. But actually, that's not all. You actually double that number, because it's not like you get to then use that technician on other services. So they can then either be profitable for you because you're billing them out on an hourly basis, or you can be getting them to do profitable integrations, automations, or work that actually adds value to the business. So what I hope I've shown you here, or is given you an introduction onto how Atria helps with Citrix Cloud. That we provide you a simple user interface that your technicians can create users. They can purchase and assign Microsoft 365 licenses. They can assign desktops, whether pooled, dedicated, or shared machines. And they can manage what applications users have access to within your customers as well. You can also give your customers self-service capability so that they're able to onboard and offboard their own users. And with our billing integration, it's at low to no risk to yourself. I'd love to have a conversation with you about what this would mean to your business. Please don't hesitate to get in touch. Following this webinar, we'll send you out a copy of the webinar, and also you'll get my direct contact details, Daniel@getatria.com. So please don't hesitate to reach out.